formerly a center of culture and civilization, but today. The place on Earth that is a major hotbed of conflict today. How did that happen? How the former center of the oldest civilizations became hell on Earth. Hello and welcome to my new video. Today I will tell you about the Middle East, what it is, what countries it consists of, and how it got to where it is today. Before we start, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. It's a few seconds and you anytime can change your mind. Now, let's get started. First, let's define what the Middle East is. The Middle East represents the countries of Asia and Africa that are located near Europe, in the East. But why isn't it called the Near East? Well, there is that term, and the Near East includes the countries of Asia that face the Mediterranean, but sometimes they also include Iraq because I really don't know. So, the Middle East includes the 18 countries shown on the map. These are Saudi Arabia, Iran, Iraq, Israel, Palestine, Syria, Lebanon, Jordan, Egypt, Turkey, Kuwait, Oman, Qatar, United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, Yemen, UK and Cyprus. Wait, what do you think, UK? Well, the UK owns territories on the island of Cyprus called Akrotiri and Dhekelia. But isn't Cyprus in Europe, yet it's playing in the Euro qualifiers? It depends on what you mean by Europe. If you want a video about it, write in the comments. However, these 18 countries make up the Middle East, but there is also a map that includes countries like Afghanistan and Pakistan due to cultural similarities, or even Azerbaijan. Because of all this, the Middle East is becoming more of a geopolitical term than a geographical one. Fun fact, there is also the term Far East, which includes countries like China, Japan, North and South Korea, Taiwan, and Mongolia. Now that we have defined what belongs in the Middle East, we can begin the analysis. It is home to 487 million people, living in an area of 7.2 million square kilometers. The Middle East is the birthplace of three major world religions, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Sunni Islam has the largest number of followers, at 60%. The largest number of followers live in the Arabian Peninsula, Iraq, Syria, Turkey and Egypt. Next are Shiite Islam, at 25% and mainly live in Iran. Then, Christians, at 10% and live in Cyprus and Lebanon. And last are Jews, who live in Israel, logically. In addition to different religions, we have even more diverse ethnicities. Just look at the map. However, Arabs make up 65%, but again there are differences between Arabs in Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Iraq and Syria. Next are Iranians with 15%, then Turks with 10% and Kurds with 5%. Such a great diversity of peoples and religions is an excellent breeding ground for conflict and unrest. World powers will exploit this to enrich themselves. European colonial powers were interested in this territory as early as the 19th century, as it was believed to contain large amounts of oil and gas. In fact, the region holds 50% of the world's reserves of these two resources. In 1914, the British set up oil extraction plants in Iran, and in return became the owners of 51% of this resource. After that, the infamous Sykes-Picot Agreement in 1916 between Britain and France literally carved the region into zones of influence, but without considering ethnic, tribal, or religious realities. But a year before that, the British had promised the Arabs all of that territory if they participated in World War I against Turkey. Also, in 1917, the Baphomet Declaration promised the region of Palestine to the Jews, a territory that had been promised to the Arabs 2 years earlier. After the First World War, no one was satisfied in the region. The Arabs who lived in these territories revolted, which was brutally suppressed. However, the key event that would trigger major conflicts in this region was the creation of the country of Israel 1948. The French and British colonies gained independence, and all joined together in the Arab coalition to attack Israel. In this conflict, Israel, aided by America, emerged victorious, further enraging the Arabs. This war caused the first Palestinian migrant crisis, called the Nakba. On the other side, in 1953, CIA and MI6 overthrew the democratically elected president of Iran, who was pushing for the nationalization of Iranian oil. They brought to power Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, the Shah of Iran, who was a puppet who operated for the benefit of the British and Americans. This move would have lost their facilities there, and perhaps other Middle Eastern countries would have gotten the same idea. A few years later, Ayatollah Khomeini and his conservatives started their revolution, overthrew the Pahlavi and nationalized Iran's resources. The US doesn't like this, so they impose sanctions, further destabilizing the region. After that, there were a large number of conflicts such as the Iran-Iraq War of 1980, the Israeli invasion of Lebanon in 1982, the Palestinian uprising in 1987, the Gulf War of 1990 between Iraq and Kuwait, the American invasion of Iraq in 2003, and many other conflicts. The list is simply huge. Today, the Middle East remains one of the most strategic and volatile regions on Earth. U.S. influence is fading slightly, while China and Russia are expanding their reach. In addition to them, we also have the struggle of regional powers such as Iran, Saudi Arabia and Turkey, which carry out military operations on the territory of other countries. Geopolitical relations are constantly changing, and it is difficult to understand who supports whom. America is with Israel, Iran is with Hamas, Russia supports Assad in occupied Syria, Saudi Arabia does not support Israel even though it is an ally of the US, but even less supports Hamas so as not to strengthen the influence of Iran. Iran supports the Kurds in Turkey in order to reduce their influence in the region. Too many interesting things are gathered in one place, and everyone strives to expand their influence and take up as many resources as possible, while ordinary people suffer. The Middle East is truly an incredible region that could be the subject of a whole series. Its strategic location between Europe, Asia and Africa, as well as its vast natural resources, have allowed some countries to live luxuriously and glamorously, while others have been left backward and destroyed. We hope that one day peace will reign again and that innocent people will not suffer. What do you think? Which side do you support, and whether it is possible to achieve peace again one day? Write in the comments. I hope you enjoyed this short presentation of this region. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Until the next video, goodbye.